Hello everyone, welcome to Online Study for You. This is a session on C programming aptitude, and the questions covered here will be similar to the questions that will be appearing in the TCS NQT examination. So why wait? Let's get started. The first question is choose the correct output. So this is the given program and these are the options. So let us try to understand what is happening in this program. Okay, so here inside the main function we have declared three variables, that is int of integer type. The first one is I, which is initialized to -3. The second one is j, which is initialized to 2. The third one is k, which is initialized to 0, and the fourth one is m, which is not initialized. So in the next sentence, in the next statement, what we have done is we have written an equation where m is equal to plus I ampersand plus j and plus k. So in this very next line we are printing four integers, that is I, j, k and m. So at the end of the program, what will be the value of these variables? Will it be -3, 3, 1 and 1, or -2, 3, 1 and 1, or -3, 2, 0, 0, or -2, 2, 0, 0? What will be the value? So in the first line we have initialized the values to -3, 2 and 0. So in the very next line what happens is you have as you know, this symbol ampersand, or this doesn't look like ampersand, stands for the logical AND operator. Okay, so the logical AND operator between any two numbers, what it does is it gives you 1 as the answer. Okay, it gives you 1 as the answer if both the numbers are non-zero. Okay, so the numbers should be non-zero, but if it gives you 0 if at least one number is 0. Okay, so that is what it does. So these are the increment logical AND operator, but here before that we have pre-increment operator. Okay, so we have pre-increment operator for all the three I, j and k. So what happens is initially the value of I is -3, so that becomes plus I, so -3 plus 2 you'll get -2. Okay, and then you have the logical AND. Okay, I'm just going to write A for and then you have plus j. That means the number 2 will be incremented to 3 and it will be stored, since this is pre-increment operator. And then you have an AND again. Okay, you have an AND again. Here we have plus k, which will be 1. So next what happens is it evaluates, and the evaluation takes starts from the right side. So it takes the right two numbers and checks if these are 0 or non-zero. So the number on the left side is 3 and the number on the right side is 1, which are both non-zero numbers, hence it returns 1. So the equation boils down to 1 on the right side and -2 on the left side. So now what do you see? So -2 and 1 both are non-zero numbers, hence it returns 1 again. Okay, and 1 is stored in the variable m. So the value of I after increment operator is -2, because -3 plus 1 is -2. So we can rule out option A and option C, and 2 after increasing is 3, so we can easily rule out this and we can say this is the answer. And k is 0 and after increment it becomes 1, and m is the value we have got here, which is 1, which is option B is the right answer. Let us execute this code. So I have the program for this written here. So I'm going to copy my code and paste it into my local editor, and then I'm going to compile and run this program, and I'm going to get -2, 3, 1 and 1, which is the option B is the right answer. The second question is, what is the output? So this is a program and these are the options. Okay, so what is happening in this program? The first line initializes number of variables, the first one being I initialized to 4, the second one being j initialized to -4, the third one is k which is initialized to 0, and then you have set of 4 variables, that is w, x, y and z, which are not initialized, and in the next 4 lines some expression is written to compute w, x, y and z, and at the end those w, x, y and z are printed, and we are here to guess what will be the output values of w, x, y and z. So let us try to break it down into each line and understand what is happening. So in the first line we have I, r, r, j, r, r, k. So you need to know this is the logical or operator, which I'm going to write it as O, and ampersand, ampersand. It is difficult to write ampersand here. Oh, it is a handicapped ampersand. Okay, I'm going to write it as A, which is the logical AND operator. So this is going to give you, the logical AND operator is going to give you 1 if both the numbers are non-zero only. Even if one number is non-zero, then it is going to return you 0. But the logical OR operator is going to return you 1 at least if one number is non-zero. So if there are two numbers, let us say 5 and 0, 5 or 0. So you will get the output as 1 because one of the operand is 5, which is non-zero. So only if all the operand are zeros, only then you are going to get 0 as the output. So in the first expression what you have is 4, which is the value of I, and you have an R, and then you have J, which is -4, and then you have an R again, and then a 0. So to mark the difference, I'll write it like this. So the evaluation takes place from the right side, as we know. -4 or 0 is going to give you 1. So this will now become 4 or 1. So since 4 is a non-zero number, since this is an OR operator, you are going to get 1 as the final answer, which will be stored in W. So you can neglect the answer in which the first one, the W, is 0. So you can neglect option D. Then we are now going to evaluate the value of X. So I is again 4, and now you have an AND. Now the value of J is again -4, and you have another AND, which is 0. So next what happens is it evaluates these two. So your 4 remains as it is. So remember, this is not a plus, okay, this is not a minus symbol, this is an equal to symbol for the next one. So minus the 4 and -4 and 0 will give you 0, since this is a logical AND operator, and both the operands needs to be non-zero numbers. Since this is a 0, you are going to get a 0, and since you have this 0 here and this is a logical AND operator, you're going to get 0 here. So we can rule out option A, and option B or C is the right answer for now. So let us move on to the next one, where we'll be computing Y. So here you have 4, or J is -4, and oh god, you have 0. So remember, if you try to compute from the right, you'll get an from the left side you'll get an error. We'll see later. So minus 4 and 0 will give you a 0, since this is an AND operator. So I'm going to write 4 OR operator and then a 0. Okay, to differentiate this I'll write this, make it like it. Okay, so this is a 0 similar to this 0. Okay, so 4 or 0 will give you 1. Okay, so 1 0 1, so you cannot say which one is the answer, you have to go for the next one. So if you compute it from the left side, let us say 4 or minus 4, you're going to get 1, and 1 and 0, you're going to get 0 as the answer. So you should not compute it from the left side but compute it from the right side. So the next one will be I'll take this color. Yeah, so the next one is 4 and minus 4 or 0. Okay, again I'm going to differentiate this 0. So compute it from the right side, minus 4 or 0. Okay, minus 4 or 0, you're going to get 1. Okay, so 4 or 1, got it? So minus 4 or 0 you're going to get 1, and 4 or 1 you're going to get 1. So 1 0 1 1, so you can rule out option B, and option C is the right answer. So let us execute this code and verify if this is true. We have copied the code, we are now pasting it and running it. So you get 1 0 1 1, which is our option C. So the third question is, what is the output of the code snippet? So this is the code and this is these are the options. So what is happening here? You have declared variable I, which is of integer type, and then you have I is equal to printf online study for you, which is our channel name. So what is happening here? In the next line we have I is equal to again printf %d I. So what is going to be stored in I? And at the end again you have another printf which is going to print %d, which is I. So it seems confusing, but it is not. So trust me, I'll tell you what happens here. So in the first sentence, I is equal to printf online study for you. This online study for you is definitely printed till here. Okay, so we can rule out these two options. Okay, in the second line what happens is printf %d I. So what happens is, in the first line, after printing online study for you, what it does is it stores the length of online study for you, the string which is in the double quotes, to this variable I. Okay, so what is the length of this string? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13. So 13 is the size of this, so that is why this is going to store 13 in I. So you have 13 stored in I. So in the next one it prints 13, so both of them print 13. So you cannot say which one is the answer. It prints 13 and it is going to store the length of whatever the string is there in the double quotes in I. So now what is the length of this %d? So %d is considered as two different characters and it is going to store 2 in I, and in the next line it is going to print the 2, which is our option B is the right answer, neglecting the option A. So let us execute the code and see if that is the case or not. So I'm running the code. So online study for you 1 3, which is the line length of the online study for you string, and 2, which is the length of the %d which we had. So our option B is the right answer. Let us go for the fourth question, which is choose the correct answer for the given code outputs. I'm not sure whether the sentence is right, but let us go. and not bother about the sentence. So we have an int main, and they have given another hint, which is the numbers given in the input are 10 and 5. So you have a scanf here, and that is why you're giving 10 and 5 as the inputs here. So you have a variable x which is of integer type, and here x is equal to scanf %d ampersand x. That means you're taking x from the keyboard from the user, and that is what you're entering here, 10 and 5. Okay, and that is going to be stored in x, and again you have x is equal to scanf. So in the very next line you're printing %d of x. So what is going to be printed? So definitely we are sure that we are entering 10 and 5, so that is why we have 10 and 5 in our outputs. Okay, so our deciding factor would be the last one. So what is it? So in the last question we saw that the length of the string online study for you is stored in I. So in the same way here the length is stored. So but what length? The length that is stored is the length of the string that is inside this double quotes. So what is the length of this string inside double quotes? We have a space here. Remember, we have another space here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So is 6 the correct answer? The option B, it is actually no. So in the case of scanf, the length is not considered. So okay, the length is not considered, but the number of inputs that you have given. So you have given 2 inputs, and that is why 2 is stored in x, and here you are printing x. So 2 is going to be printed, and option D is the right answer, which we shall execute and see if it's true or not. Okay, so we are going to get so I'm going to enter 10 and I'm going to enter 5, and I'm going to press enter, and in the next line we are going to get 2, which is our option D is the right answer. So let us go for the last question for this video, which is pick the right option. This is the code, and these are the options. So what is happening in the code? So extern int x. Okay, we have declared a variable x which is of type int and extern, and you have x is equal to 20, and you are going to print the size of x. So what is going to be printed? So x is an integer variable, so definitely the size of integer is going to be printed, right? So option A is the right answer, which is the size of int. But it turns out that this is not the right answer, and you may wonder 8 may be the right answer because the size of int may be 8 in Linux operating system, but that is also not the right answer. And what happens here is actually you're going to get an error, and you're not also going to get 1, which is the size of character. So why are you going to get an error in this program? Because you have used the keyword int extern. So what is the keyword extern is, it tells the program that the variable x is an external variable which is not declared inside the program. So when you do this, the scope of the variable will not exist inside the program, but the scope of the variable will be outside the program. Okay, so the compiler is going to say that it cannot find the memory allocated for x because x is not declared anywhere outside the program. So here it should have been int x. Okay, if you have done int x, then it would have worked, but since you have not done that, this is not going to happen, and you're going to get an error, and we shall see that by executing the code. So we have pasted the code, and when I run the program, I'm not going to definitely get the output, and it says undefined reference to x. So that means it has marked a red mark, which is a symbol of error in the place where I have marked x is equal to 20. It means it is not recognizing x as a variable which is of the function main. So I'm going to get an error, which is option C is the right answer. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any queries, please comment it down and we're going to answer your queries. Thank you.